Welcome to today's video. If you're here, I know you're passionate about improving your English skills, and I'm here to help. Today we're diving into a topic that can truly change the way you learn English: podcasts. Now, before we get started, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt stuck while trying to improve your English? Maybe you've struggled with listening, found it tough to expand your vocabulary, or even felt unmotivated. Well, let me tell you this. Learning English doesn't have to be boring or frustrating. It can actually be fun, exciting, and even relaxing. And podcasts are the perfect tool to make that happen. When I first started learning English, podcasts weren't as popular as they are now. I had to rely on textbooks and lessons that, let's be honest, often felt dry and uninspiring. But when I discovered podcasts, everything changed. Suddenly, I had access to real conversations, authentic pronunciation, and fascinating stories, all in English. Podcasts became my secret weapon. I could listen while commuting, exercising, or even cooking. And the best part? They didn't feel like studying. They felt like spending time with a friend. So, what makes podcasts so powerful for learning English? First, they expose you to natural spoken English. Unlike the rigid dialogues in textbooks, podcasts are real, unscripted, and conversational. This means you get to hear how people actually speak, how they use idioms, phrasal verbs, and even slang. But it's not just about listening to conversations. Podcasts train your brain to think in English. When you immerse yourself in the language, your brain starts to pick up patterns. You notice how sentences are built, how words are used in context, and how emotions are expressed through tone. One thing I absolutely love about podcasts is their variety. No matter what you're interested in, history, science, comedy, or business, there's a podcast for you. And this makes learning English not only effective but also enjoyable, because you're learning through content that you actually care about. Now, how can you make the most out of podcasts? Start by choosing podcasts that match your level. For beginners, look for podcasts specifically designed for English learners. These usually have slower speech, clear pronunciation, and explanations of tricky words. For intermediate and advanced learners, challenge yourself with native English podcasts. Yes, they might feel difficult at first, but that's exactly what will push you to improve. You'll be exposed to more complex language and a faster speaking pace, which is fantastic for fluency. Here's a tip. Don't just listen passively. Be an active listener. Pay attention to details, how the speaker uses intonation, emphasizes words, and transitions between ideas. Try mimicking their style when you speak. Taking notes can also help. If you hear a new word or phrase, jot it down. Look up its meaning later and practice using it in your sentences. Over time, this will expand your vocabulary and make your speech more natural. Let me share a personal story. When I was struggling with my listening skills, I found a podcast called The English We Speak. It focuses on idioms and phrases used in everyday English. At first, I didn't understand everything, but I stuck with it. Each morning, I'd listen to an episode while having breakfast. I replayed parts I didn't catch and practiced saying the phrases out loud. Slowly but surely, I started recognizing those phrases in movies, TV shows, and even conversations with native speakers. It was a huge confidence booster. And you know what? It didn't feel like studying. It felt like enjoying a chat with friends. If the podcast has a transcript, use it. Following along while listening helps you see how words are spelled and understand meanings better. If there's no transcript, don't worry. Focus on the overall message instead of trying to catch every single word. Consistency is key. Like any skill, improving your English takes time and practice. Make podcasts part of your daily routine. Even 15 to 20 minutes a day can bring noticeable improvement. Pick a time that works for you, maybe during your commute while exercising or before bed. The key is to stick with it. Finally, I want to leave you with this. Learning English isn't just about passing exams or getting a job. It's about opening doors to new opportunities, connecting with people from around the world, and seeing life through a new lens. Every time you listen to a podcast in English, you're moving closer to your goals. You're training your brain, building confidence, and expanding your horizons. So don't fear mistakes. Don't shy away from challenges. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. With dedication and the right tools, like podcasts, you can achieve fluency. Welcome to Chapter 2 of our journey into the world of podcasts and how they can truly transform your English learning experience. In this chapter, I want to dive deeper into the techniques and habits that will help you unlock the full potential of podcasts. Let me start by asking you this. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to pick up English so effortlessly, while others struggle for years? It's not about talent or intelligence. It's about consistency and the methods they use. When I first began using podcasts, I had no idea how powerful they could be. At first, I just let them play in the background, something to fill the silence while I worked or relaxed. But soon, I realized I was missing an opportunity. The day I decided to focus, to truly pay attention, everything changed. I stopped treating podcasts as noise and started treating them as lessons. And wow, the difference was incredible. Active listening is the secret. Don't just let the words flow over you. Grab them. Listen closely. Notice how the speaker emphasizes certain words, where they pause, and how they create rhythm with their voice. These details are your key to understanding not just the language, but the feelings and stories behind it. One of the techniques that helped me the most was shadowing. Let me explain. Shadowing means repeating what you hear immediately after you hear it. It might sound simple, but trust me, it's a game changer. Here's how I did it. I'd play a podcast, pause after every sentence, and try to mimic the speaker's tone, speed, and pronunciation. At first, it felt awkward. I stumbled over words and my timing was all wrong, but with each attempt, I got better and better. Before I knew it, my pronunciation was sharper, my intonation more natural. I was no longer just learning English, I was living it, breathing it. Another thing that made a huge difference? Setting goals. Instead of just listening for the sake of it, I gave myself targets. Sometimes it was to learn 10 new words from an episode. Other times I focused on understanding fast speech or picking up phrases I could use in everyday conversations. These goals kept me motivated. They gave me a reason to keep going, even on days when I felt stuck or frustrated. And speaking of frustration, oh, I've been there. There were days when I felt like giving up. The speakers were too fast, the vocabulary too advanced. I'd sit there thinking, will I ever get it? But here's what I learned. It's okay to feel lost. It's part of the process. Focus on understanding the main idea first, and let the details come later. Over time, your brain will start filling in those gaps naturally. I remember one podcast episode I listened to over and over again. The first time, I barely understood anything. By the second listen, I caught a few phrases. By the third, it all started to click. Repetition is your best friend. Another thing that really pushed me forward was stepping out of my comfort zone. I started exploring podcasts on topics I'd never considered before: science, travel, entrepreneurship. At first it was intimidating, but it was also exciting. These new topics challenged me, forced me to adapt. And in the process, I discovered so many new words and ideas. You know what else I discovered? The magic of storytelling podcasts. These are my favorite. They're packed with emotion, joy, sadness, suspense, everything. And they're perfect for learning how to express feelings in English. Whenever I listen to these stories, I'd imagine myself in the narrator's shoes. How would I tell this story? What words would I use? This simple exercise improved not just my language, but my confidence. Let me tell you something important. Mistakes are your friends. When you mimic a speaker or try out a new phrase, you might mess up. That's okay. Every mistake teaches you something. Even native speakers slip up sometimes. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And with podcasts, you'll find yourself progressing faster than you ever thought possible. Before we wrap up this chapter, I want you to remember one thing. Learning English is a journey. Podcasts are an incredible tool, but they're just one piece of the puzzle. Combine them with other practices, like reading, writing, and speaking, to get the full picture. Stay curious, stay consistent, and most of all, stay courageous. Because with every episode you listen to, with every word you practice, you're moving closer to fluency. I hope it's inspired you to embrace podcasts as your language learning partner. Let's keep this momentum going. There's so much more to discover. Last chapter. As we move into this final chapter, let me tell you something truly transformative about podcasts. They're not just a tool for learning English. They're a doorway to new worlds, new perspectives, and endless opportunities. Let's talk about how you can make podcasts a permanent part of your daily life. Because trust me, once they become a habit, your progress will be unstoppable. When I first started, I was inconsistent. I'd listen to a podcast one day, then skip a week. But I quickly realized something important. To see real growth, I needed to make listening a routine. So, I set aside 20 to 30 minutes every day, sometimes in the morning, sometimes before bed. And here's the key. I made it non-negotiable. Think of it this way. If you can dedicate time to eating, sleeping, or scrolling through your phone, why not dedicate it to improving your English? The beauty of podcasts lies in their flexibility. You can listen while commuting, cooking, exercising, or even while relaxing on the couch. They fit seamlessly into your life. And because they're so accessible, there's no excuse not to listen. But remember, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. Don't rush through episodes just to say you've listened. Focus on truly absorbing the content. One technique I used was taking notes. Whenever I heard a new phrase, idiom, or word, I'd write it down. At the end of the episode, I'd revisit those notes, look up the meanings, practice the pronunciation, and create my own sentences using those words. This simple practice turned passive listening into active learning, and it worked wonders. Another powerful tip is to diversify your content. Don't stick to just one type of podcast. Explore interviews, storytelling, educational shows, or even comedy podcasts. Each genre offers something unique. For example, interviews teach you conversational English, how people respond, ask questions, and express opinions. Storytelling, on the other hand, helps you understand emotions, pacing, and how to engage an audience. And if you're feeling adventurous, try listening to podcasts designed for native speakers. Yes, they'll be challenging, but they'll also push you to the next level. One thing I've noticed is how podcasts can improve not just your listening skills, but your speaking as well. As you listen, you're subconsciously absorbing patterns, rhythms, and intonations. Have you ever found yourself repeating a phrase from a podcast without even realizing it? That's the magic of exposure. The more you listen, the more natural English becomes. And let's not forget about the emotional impact of podcasts. Some episodes have moved me to tears, while others have made me laugh out loud. This emotional connection makes the language stick. You see, language isn't just about words, it's about feelings, connections, and stories. Podcasts bring all of that to life. I remember one particular podcast that changed everything for me. It was a story about resilience, about overcoming challenges and never giving up. As I listened, I felt inspired, and that inspiration fueled my determination to keep learning English. You might be wondering, will I ever be fluent? Will I ever speak like a native? The answer is yes, but only if you stay committed. Fluency isn't a destination. It's a journey, and every step you take brings you closer. Podcasts are your companion on this journey, guiding you, motivating you, and teaching you every step of the way. Now let's talk about mindset, because learning a language isn't just about skill, it's about attitude. Be patient with yourself. There will be days when you feel stuck, when the words don't come out right, or when you don't understand an episode. That's okay. Remember why you started. Maybe it's to get a better job, travel, connect with people, or simply challenge yourself. Hold on to that reason. Let it drive you. And don't compare yourself to others. Everyone learns at their own pace. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. As we wrap up this journey, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Think about how far you've come, from struggling to understand a single sentence to engaging with full podcasts. That's no small feat. You're not just learning English. You're building confidence, expanding your horizons, and proving to yourself that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. So here's my challenge to you. Find a podcast today. Choose one that excites you, challenges you, or teaches you something new. Dive in, take notes, shadow the speaker, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Because learning English isn't just about studying, it's about living the language. It's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs. Thank you for joining me in this adventure. I hope these chapters have inspired you, motivated you, and given you practical tools to improve your English. And remember, the next time you press play on a podcast, you're not just listening. You're growing, learning, and moving closer to your dreams. Stay curious, stay consistent, and most of all, stay courageous. Until next time, happy learning. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more tips and inspiration. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing. See you next time.